Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Waist Off Wednesday. And Waist Off Podcast presents Price on Purpose, where we learn all about the things that help us fulfill our purpose and help us to understand the price that we must pay to fulfill that. I am your host, Stacey Pryce. What's up, Celia? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Holy crap, it's hot today. All right. It is hot out here on Long Island. It is literally 88 degrees. It was like 90 degrees before. I have to be grateful for it because I remember what winter was like. And I was like, when is it going to be warm? When is it going to be warm? And then now it's like hot as hell. And now I'm just like, when is it going to be like fall? You know what I mean? But that's how life is, right? I remember my dad used to say, he'd be like, get to, no want to, no get to. You know, meaning you have the things that you don't want and you want the things you can't have, which is an interesting perspective, but you just have to be grateful. You know what I mean? But yeah, what day is today? Today is June 9th, 2021. It is 4:56 now p.m. Eastern Standard Time. First and foremost, as I always say, please, if you can, click like and click share on this video to help share the knowledge that I learned about my life with you, as well as other people that follow you. And also, don't forget to follow Waist Off Podcast on social media. That's like Instagram, Twitter, all them things that you guys have out there. There's so many, like I don't even know how many social media platforms there are. All I know is that there are a lot, okay? And it's a lot for me to keep up with, but for those of you that love social media, I would greatly appreciate it if you follow me there. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about anchors, right? And I don't know if other people call it this. I call it that, an anchor. An anchor is something that helps you get back to reality, or I say back to life, back to reality. Who sang that song? Somebody let me know in the chat, because that song, it's so funny. I used to hear that song and I used to sing along to it in my room, and I never knew all the words. I'd be like, how do you want it? However you need it. You know what I mean? I just mumbled it. I didn't really know the words to the song, but yeah, I used to listen to that song and I never understood how powerful the words were. You know what I mean? And now in present day, I'm just like, okay, I get it. Because as somebody that deals with depression, as somebody that deals with anxiety, some people be like, you ain't depressed, you fine. You know what I mean? You ain't got no anxiety, you're fine. But the thing is, depression and anxiety sometimes affect many people, and we don't even realize that they're going through something. You know what I mean? And they could be doing the most, as some people may say, and you'll think they're totally fine. But the thing is about depression and anxiety, for those that don't really share it, they are probably really good at deceiving us. As some people be like, Stacey, you go through that? Yes, I do. And the thing is, for me, I know that I have moments. I have highs and lows, as any other normal person does. And how do you manage it? Like, some people be like, are you happy all the time? No, I'm not happy all the time. I don't always wake up like, I'm so happy to be here. Like, I don't always wake up like that. Although it's nice when I do. It's absolutely nice when I do. But when I say anchors, there are things that you can embrace in your life to kind of help you get through the day, get through the week, get through the hour, whatever the case is. And one of them that I know a lot of people kind of be like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. One of them is therapy. And for me, therapy helped me a lot. I don't currently go now, but I am looking for a therapist or a life coach, because talking about it is healing in itself. Whether you solve the issue or not, speaking to someone is really important. Like, I learned today that there are 7 different types of depression, probably more. Did you know that? Because I didn't. I thought depression was just like this one flat thing and that was it. So I learned that there's like a lot. All right, so just to go over a couple, some of you may have heard these. So these are the more common types of depression, which are major depressive disorder, persistent depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, postpartum depression, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, like what? Seasonal affective disorder, and atypical depression. That's just some of the common ones. And I definitely know about the seasonal one. Seasonal, for you guys, I don't know if you guys know, some people get really depressed in the winter. Some people get really depressed in like during seasons. I used to be one that during holidays, I would get really sad, really depressed. I would literally close everybody off from me or from my life. I would just be like, I'm not talking to anybody today. It's Christmas. Goodbye. I'm not talking to anybody. And everybody has their own reasons of why they go into that state. I'm not going to share mine at the moment, but you kind of have to find out what it is for you. Because the thing is, everybody's different. Like, you could ask Joe Schmo, like, what do you do with your depression? Like, how do you handle it? What are the symptoms that you have? And it is possible that you may have similar symptoms, but the thing is, everybody's symptoms could be different. So that's why it's important to seek out a therapist or somebody to talk to that has a license, you know what I mean? Or a lifestyle coach, a healer, like not me, you know what I mean? I'm just sharing what I learned about myself, but I encourage you to look for resources and find someone to help you, whatever your insurance covers or whatever works best for you. But I wanted to talk about the anchor situation. So for me, I know I've been having a rough couple of weeks or so, and I noticed that there are certain things that kind of help bring me back to consciousness and back to reality. And I've learned even a new one, actually, and Celia probably knows what I'm going to say, but one of them, and I didn't even realize it was something that was helping me, was music. Music is an ultimate mood changer. Like, I didn't realize how important it was to me until, I was going through some things, going through a breakup, and I would always put on music, whether it's, I remember I used to listen to the artist Her, Future, who else? The Migos. Like, there were so many songs, so many albums that I cling to during that time. And I'm sure you guys have your own. Let me know, actually, what do you guys listen to when you're not feeling the best, or you need something to pick you up or get you in the good mood? Like, what do you guys listen to? I'm just curious. Like, what genre are we working with here in this chat? And if you guys are listening here live on Podbean, also let me know what you guys listen to. I'm just curious. But yeah, I cling to those artists because they spoke about things that I was going through at that time. And it helped me be like, look, it's good for a human to feel not alone. You know what I mean? Because when we feel alone, we feel trapped, we feel caged, and we feel like we can't reach out to anyone. It's like literally a false reality. You know what I mean? And that's why these anchors like music can help bring you out of that. Be like, you know what? Yeah, I was feeling kind of low, or yeah, I was feeling a little discouraged, but you know what? This song made me feel better. You know what? Let me hang out with some friends. Let me go talk to somebody, things like that. Also a new new anchor for me. And at the end of the day, it's up to you of what anchor you choose. But I started to read the Bible. And the funny thing was, I'll share this with you. I have always wanted to read the Bible, always wanted to read it. And I will tell you why I chose not to for so long. So with me living the life that I do, being into women, being gay, I thought, I went by what other people said, which is like the worst thing to do ever with anything that you choose in life. Don't go by somebody's opinion solely. Acknowledge their opinion, but also like look into it for yourself, right? So a lot of people be like, oh, I'm gay, so, screw that. I'm not like reading the Bible. The Bible hates gays, like, yeah. And I'm like, well, I guess I ain't gonna read that. Celia says reggae music helps to be her anchor. Yo, me and Celia be jamming to some reggae music. I love reggae. Well, for obviously reasons, but yeah, I love reggae. Yeah, we be jamming. We be jamming. Hey, you see what I said there? Okay, but yeah, like I used to, think like, okay, well, with this mindset, like I can't read the Bible. It's not for me. It's for everybody else, and I kind of like distance myself from it. And I said, I feel through time sometimes we gain knowledge, right? That's what happens over time. We grow up, we start to be like, okay, maybe just because somebody has this opinion or somebody has this idea doesn't necessarily mean that I have to have that, right? So I started to read the Bible recently, and it's so interesting. Now, of course, there are certain things in the Bible you'd be like, that didn't happen. You know what I mean? But what I like about the Bible, it has this, I think people give awareness, or people provide an energy because a lot of people embrace it. And there's something about listening to it. Because let me tell you, I get a lot of books for free on YouTube. Okay, so I'm listening to a theatrical version of the Bible. Because let me tell you, when I was reading it just reading it, I'm just like, okay, that was all right. Okay. Like I'm falling asleep, okay? I'll be honest. I was reading the book of Genesis. Celia knows I was reading the book of Genesis. I was like, okay, I don't need to hear about who slept with who. I understand what you're trying to say. I get it. God created everything. Got it. I got it. You know what I mean? So I skipped over that. Right? So, and I went to Exodus, right? And now we talking about Moses and all these things. And I'm just like, interesting, like I understand what's happening here. Like we're saying that, or what I embrace. I'll tell you how I understood it. Everybody has their thing. Everybody on this planet has their thing, and it's up to them to discover what their thing is. Because the thing that was given to person one is not the same thing that was given to person two. And although it may look alike, it doesn't mean that person one and person two are going to do the same thing in the same way. For example, a lot of people know that I love to listen to E.T., the hip hop preacher. Shout out to him. He's like dope. Okay. I listen to a lot of his albums. I'm just like, yo, oh my God. Right. The way he motivates is not going to be the way I motivate. Although we're doing similar things, right? We're doing similar things. We have a similar purpose, but it's going to be done differently because he is him and I am me. And everybody has that gift or that purpose, right? And it's up to us to find it, because through our lives, a million people could be like, you know what? You're this. You should do that. You like fish? You should become a fisherman. You know what I mean? But the thing is, although you may have that skill, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the thing that you want to do, right? So you kind of have to find your own thing. But by me reading that became an anchor for me, because, I'm like, okay, I have to realize that that was given to me, like, I need to embrace this. I need to go all in on this, because this is the thing that was given to me. You know what I mean? And if you live an abundant life, or you know that you're blessed and you live a life of gratitude, you can start to realize the greatness that is actually inside of you. And that was becoming an anchor for me, because I'm just like, okay, I see I'm on this path, I'm doing my thing and everything. And although it doesn't necessarily look the way I thought it was going to look, there's still movement in the direction I need to go. You know what I mean? There's something. Let me know if you know. Let me know if you've ever felt this. Like, there's this force, right? There's this energy, whatever you want to call it, that makes you feel like you need to go in a certain direction, right? There's this energy, something about it, whether you said, oh, I want to talk to this person, or I want to say hello to that person, or you met your partner or a friend that way. There's something that is like driving you in a certain direction. Something. We don't know what it is. It's just there, right? But the thing is, sometimes, like, we could be driven in a direction and then we go against the other the other thing that's in us or inside of us, what is that a word I made? In us. It's in us. It's in us. Okay. Where it's like, I'm getting pushed in this direction, but something's telling me to pull back. But no, I'm going to go anyway. Right. That feeling could be fear. That feeling could be doubt. That feeling could be intuition. It could be so many things, but sometimes we have to find out, right? Sometimes we just kind of have to find out on our own. And that's the scary part, because sometimes the anchor that we choose is not always the anchor that we need to embrace. You see, sometimes the anchor, because for me, I used to smoke, I used to vape. And although that worked for a time, it worked for a time for me, that anchor actually ended up hurting me, because I was actually talking to a neighbor the other day. I was going for a walk with my girlfriend, and he was asking me, he's like, what do you think about marijuana? And I was like, oh, I think it's a great thing to use medicinally, but I think that for me, although it helped me at one point in my life, it eventually became something that I depended on, right? So anytime I felt angry, anytime I felt sad, anytime I felt like I ain't got nothing else to do, you know what I mean? It became an anchor, but the anchor, in a sense, it didn't help me, because then I didn't take action on the things I needed to do. That's just me, okay? So instead of me coming home from work, doing what I need to do, blah, 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 getting things done, I'm like, let me just chill. It's just a chill session, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a great thing to use to relax. But it's a great thing to use to relax in moderation. And that's something that I wasn't embracing, right? And at the end of the day, everybody has their own relationship with it. I chose to quit because what I also noticed for me, I'll tell you a little secret. When I speak here, I don't write anything down. I put just bullet points, right? Like, I have an idea and I'm like, okay, I want to speak from experience. I want to speak from what I learned about myself. And I don't write it down, because I want it to be authentically delivered to you. But the thing is, when I smoked, it disconnected me from that. And I wasn't able to have like the structure I needed to in what I was saying. And that's why I had to leave it alone, because it was eliminating a piece of me that is natural. It was hiding it a little bit. So I chose to leave it alone. Now, at the end of the day, everybody could do whatever they want. Some people drink, like I drink sometimes, okay? I drink sometimes, all right? But I know for me, if I want to fire what I call at all cylinders, that's something that I can't enjoy unless it's like a once in a while thing. So that's what I learned about myself. Sometimes we choose an anchor, and that anchor ain't the best for us. Like sometimes some people's anchors are television shows. Like, all right, look, I'm going to binge watch this show and we're going to get through it and it's going to be great. And then next thing you know, your whole evening's gone or your whole weekend is gone, because your anchor, which was putting yourself into a show, it added to your inaction. You know what I mean? Now you didn't accomplish X, Y, and Z. Like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. You know what I mean? So that's why it's really important to find out what your anchor is. Some people's anchor is art. Some people love art, right? And then that anchor actually becomes their way of life. They become artists. Some people are artists in music. Some people write poetry. Everybody has their own anchor. So you have to find out what your anchor is. For me, I have several levels of my anchor. I have to work out. If I don't sweat, sometimes I just feel like I feel like my mind is not attached to my body. Like, technically it's not, but it is. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is that when I work out, I feel a little more clear. I think clearly. And also another way or another anchor could be meditation, breathing, deep breathing, sitting that way, understanding your connection to yourself, your spirit. That's another anchor. You know what I mean? Everybody has their thing. That's what I'm saying. You got to find yours. Some people be like, I tried meditation. It sucks, right? Some people be like, meditation don't work for me. What am I doing? Just sitting here breathing? There's a process. Because do you know there could be walking meditation? I learned that. I was like, you know what? I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I enjoyed it. Something else I love to do, I go hiking. I'll put that in quotes, hiking, because I love walking in the woods. Because I remember I actually read this quote on Pinterest. Shout out to Pinterest. Everything's on Pinterest. You want to make a meal? Pinterest. You want to use an air fryer? Pinterest. You want to make something? Everything's on Pinterest. But I remember I saw a quote on Pinterest, and it said, nobody can be angry walking in the woods. And for me, I aligned with that because I used to, I'll admit, I used to bring a vape pen and go walk in the woods and get lost somewhere and then end up at the beach on the coast and just sit there and just be like, wow, life's great, man. Life is just amazing. That was too much. But yeah, but I've never been angry walking in the woods, you know? And then sometimes even now, if I get upset, I take a walk. I take a walk because I feel like with anger is a teacher. It's not a tool. You know what I mean? Anger is a teacher because something may bother you, but sometimes you don't, like, let me tell you something. I had to realize, like, in relationships, certain anger or angry moments would come up, and I would just be like, I'm angry. You didn't do, or blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. See, I had to realize that this thing made me angry because it's attached to this thing, which is attached to this thing. Like, we don't always realize why we're angry. And that's the thing. You got to find out what's actually bothering you. And the only way to find out is to sit with yourself. Or like Celia says, she takes a walk also. See, I forgot that I could put that up on screen there. Look at that. Look at Stacey Pryce. Thank you. Yeah, walking is therapy, you know? Walking, speaking to someone. Celia knows. I'll be calling her up like, Celia, let me tell you, girl. Today was a day. And she'd be like, okay, I understand. You know? Right? Don't we call each other Celia? Be like, girl, let me tell you, today, today. All right? Speaking with someone you trust is really important because let me tell you, sometimes it could be tough, but let me tell you, you don't ever want to sit in your thoughts like that, right? Because that could become unhealthy. Let me tell you something. A lot of things, a lot of illnesses, you can look it up. A lot of illnesses are caused by inflammation. What is inflammation, right? The blood ain't flowing, right? Think about it. Anybody ever watched a 40-Year-Old Virgin? Yes. All right, that's one movie I saw. Maria would be laughing at me right now, but like, you ain't watched none of these movies. I watched The 40-Year-Old Virgin. I watched that movie. That was funny. With Steve Carell. He was like, is it true if you don't use it, you lose it? He was talking about something a little different. But it's true, you know, because let me tell you something. Everybody's heard that quote, a mind or your mind is a terrible thing to waste or something like that, whatever. If I misquoted it, please correct me on Podbean or let me know in the chat what I said. Let me know if it's the true thing. But everybody has a unique way of thinking. Everybody has unique thoughts. You have to find out your own uniqueness and the value that you present to society and to yourself and to this planet. Because let me tell you, it is a terrible thing to waste. Like, some of us love something so much, like whether it's, shout out to Tim Kroll and his son being on the Lego show. I'm going to call it the Lego show because I don't have it up right now. I think it's Lego Builders. He was on that. And Tim Kroll can also be seen on Business Acceleration Playbook, which is a show about learning all the things that you need to run your business and learning all those plays. So shout out to Maria Daniels for that show. But I digress. Forgot the whole thing of why I was saying this. But everybody has something. Everybody. Like, something. You know what the funny thing is? Let me tell you. I'll tell you a story. I remember my mom. and I probably said this before, but for those of you that just tuned in on Podbean and on StreamYard, my mom used to be like, Stacey, you are funny. You should be a comedian. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not funny. I'm funny in situations. I just have situational comedy. Like, I can't go up there and tell jokes. I'm not a joke teller. I just feed off my environment, right? So here I am convincing my mom that I am not funny. Think about it. Why would somebody not appreciate a compliment, right? It's like in Finding Nemo, they're like, you're a clownfish, right? Like, why don't you tell us a joke? Okay, that's a bad segue, but that's what it reminds me of. But there are things that people may tell us, right? Because there's a thing in society with humans. Humans know who to go to. For example, I used to go out to New York City and be on the streets of New York City. Mind you, I am from Long Island. I don't know Alphabet City, uptown, downtown, left town, right town. I don't know that. But for some reason, people be like, hey, tell me how to get to the A train, C train, E train, whatever train. And I'm like, you're asking the wrong person. However, what I would recommend doing is going here or going there. They're like, oh, okay. Do you know, they did an experiment. I wish I could pull that up, but they did an experiment where they showed like who humans would go to for advice. You know what I mean? Because you don't even realize you could be, if you're that person that people go to for advice, you could be giving off that energy into society that you sound like, or you move like somebody that knows what's going on. I didn't realize I was that person because look, I used to look up online when I was younger. I'm like, how to not look like a tourist. Like, do you know that these things are in Google? I used to Google how to not act or look like a tourist. And the reason was because I was paranoid I was going to get pickpocketed. I was like, maybe if I look like I'm from here, nobody will try and take money out of my wallet, right? I was paranoid because they used to say, when you go to the city, people gonna pick your pockets. It was the street performers. And I was like, oh my God, they do that? So you see, when you listen to what other people say and how it affects you, you gotta look the research up on your own. Don't always believe everything everybody tells you. It's gossip. And you don't wanna believe in gossip, all right? You need to find out from the source, all right? I've been to New York City so many times, I've never been pickpocketed. Knock on wood. But yeah, I was paranoid. So I used to look that up and be like, okay, well, all right, don't look up. Because if you look up, that means you never seen these buildings before. So I used to be walking in the city like, when I get near the Empire State Building, I used to hold my head down with like, look up, like, wow. But I would say wow in silence. I'm like, okay, all right. I didn't want to show that I was a tourist. And they said, you gotta, like my dad always said, move like you have life. Move like it. Yo, I used to walk. Like everybody's walking straight ahead. Bam. And also they said, like, don't look left and right. Because, you know, most of the streets in New York City are one way. So I would usually look up real quick, like, which way is this? All right, this street's going left. I would look up real quick and I'm like, don't look left. Ain't no traffic coming from the left. Because, you know, on Long Island, you got two ways. Two-way streets. Not that those don't exist in the city, but I used to be like, you know, I'm like, all right, I ain't gonna look left. Just look, the traffic is coming from the right. So I would stand just like everybody else on the block, like, okay. So it was a hot mess. But anyway, people know people. People know who their people are. Like, you're not going to ask a plumber to paint the walls, right? Everybody knows who to go to for information. So make sure you go to the right person. That's what I'm trying to say. But I digress. Before we conclude for today, find your anchor. It's really important because your anchor is the thing that's going to bring you out of depression. Your anchor is the thing that's going to bring you out of anger. Say that 3 times fast. Your anchor is going to bring you out of anger, okay? Your anchor helps to dissolve your anger, okay? Remember that. Your anchor helps you to deal with your anger. I said it like 50 different ways. Find your anchor, okay? Some people it's music. Some people it's walking. Some people it's talking to a friend. Some people it's, okay, if you're going to watch TV, just don't do it too much because your mind, don't waste your mind. All right. The thing is, self-knowledge is the best. Self-knowledge is the best knowledge. When you know yourself, you start to learn your environment. You start to learn what you're willing to deal with. You start to learn your standards. You start to learn your values. You start to learn your principles. What are your principles? You ever ask yourself that? Like, what is important to me? What are my standards? Like, what is a necessity? I call them like almost non-negotiables, right? One of my non-negotiables, something I don't tolerate, is disrespect. I don't tolerate it. I'll just remove myself. I'm like, what'd you say? Well, that's how you feel? Okay. You know what? I understand how you feel. I don't agree. Goodbye. I don't tolerate that. That's a non-negotiable for me. You know, everybody has their thing. Some people are like, what? Did you walk in my house with your shoes on? My mom knows about that. She's like, no, not in my house. I used to think my mom was crazy. I'd be like, Mom, they're just shoes. They're just shoes, my God. They're just shoes. Okay. But then, you see, hindsight is 2020. I'll leave you guys with this. Sometimes we don't always know until we know. My mom would be like, Stacey, you have to understand, whoever feels it knows it. My parents always had a saying, whoever feels it knows it. And it's true. Because the thing is, my mom would always talk about, take your shoes off when you come in the house. Take your shoes off when you come in the house. I didn't even realize that's also an Eastern culture thing too. That like in China and places like that, they don't wear shoes in the house. You've been outside all day. You gonna bring that up in here? No. But you see, I wasn't doing the majority of the cleaning in the house until I got a little older and started to understand. And I realized, I was like, ew, dirt? Like, ew. My dad used to be like, I'm not going to curse, but like, you stepping dog stuff outside and you bring it in the house. Ah. And you know what the funny thing is? One day, I think one day when I lived elsewhere, I think I actually did step in some dog you-know-what. And I brought that. I was like, what the hell is that scent? What is that? And then I looked at my shoe. I was like, oh, my God. And then it was like, bing, right in my head. I heard my dad in my head. I was just like, oh my God, he's right. He's right. So now I'm just like, okay, we're going to wear these shoes here. Sometimes, you know, so Celia knows, my mom knows I'm obsessed with my Crocs. Okay. So I just make sure I wipe them off at the door and I double check the bottom. Today I had to wipe off the bottom of my Crocs. Okay. I took a wet towel and I wiped them. Some people are like, you clean your shoe bottom? Yes. Yes. But anyway, if I leave you with anything today, just understand everybody is filled with greatness. Everybody. I don't care what they do, what they look like, their way of life. I don't care. You agree, disagree. Everybody has it. It's just that we have different times of when we're actually going to learn it and know it and embrace it and share it with others. That's why it's important to sit with yourself. I mean, really sit with yourself. My girlfriend actually just read this book by Deepak Chopra. I forget the name. When I remember, or remind me next week to let you guys know. And he said, sit with yourself for 30 minutes in silence and increase that time. Because the thing is, nobody else knows you better than you. Like some people like, Joanne knows me better than I know myself. Not necessarily. The difference is Joanne may know some characteristics you have, but you didn't take the time to understand that. And Joanne's like, you know you curse a lot, okay? But you're like, really? I do? You're like, holy, I do curse a lot, right? So the thing is, because Joanne pays attention to you. But the thing is, nobody should know you more than you. You need to learn yourself. So if you have issues with anxiety, anger, doubt, selfishness, whatever the case is, I don't know. Oh, snap. I'm supposed to do Peloton with Sadik today. I just got a reminder. Cool. I'm glad that popped up And that's why you got to use a calendar, because I totally forgot. But anyway, if I leave you with anything today, guys, please, please, please develop and find your anchor. It is unique to you. You do not want to just be like doing something and then you're like, I don't have an anchor. Joanne taught me about it using an anchor, but I don't like it. And then maybe I don't have one. Maybe I'm not great. You're great. Okay. Just find out what you love to do and dive into that. Dive into it. You know, as long as it's something that makes you happy, something that's healthy, do it. Find it. Embrace it. And don't let anyone make you feel like that thing is like weird. Because let me tell you, you see Buzz Lightyear? I love Buzz Lightyear. You got to listen to your inner voice. It's speaking with you, right? It's very important that you listen to your inner voice. Once again, guys, I thank you so much. You have no idea. Like, you have to understand, I have many anchors. This is one of them. Motivational speaking. Price on Purpose, brought to you by Waist Off Podcasts, Waist Off Wednesday, brought to you by and empowered by Play with Rocks Entertainment and Reset Business Consulting, as well as Successfully Chaotic Podcasts. Okay, hey, how you doing? All right. Thank you so much, because you guys help me understand my anchor more. So I appreciate the time, whether it was 5 seconds, you jumped in, you're like, not for me, goodbye. Like, whether you jumped in and did that or you stayed the entire time, I really want to thank you so much for being here and helping me to continue to do what I do and to learn my purpose by sharing Price on Purpose with you. Don't forget, please follow Waist Off Podcast on social media. I am on the road. I'm trying to get 1,000 followers, guys. I'm at like 918 right now. I've been putting in the work, okay? I'm getting tired. But if you guys can go ahead and follow me on social media, I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, please, please, please click like and click share on this video. You never know the value that this may provide to a friend or family member. So please do that. I would greatly appreciate it. If you are listening live on Podbean, please share this live show. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps me a lot and helps me to connect with more people that may need a little midweek pick-me-up, baby. Everybody needs a midweek pick-me-up. Friday is 2 days away. It's the eve of the eve of the eve, okay? We all need it. We all need it. So once again, thank you so much for listening to Price on Purpose. Once again, my name is Stacey Pryce. This is Price on Purpose every Wednesday at 4:55 p.m. Sharp as a tack, baby. Shaboing boing. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Do I know what we're talking about? No, I'll admit that, but I'll figure it out. And I always will provide you with either some laughter or some knowledge of what I learned about myself. I appreciate you guys. Peace out and have a great rest of your week.